Hey traders, Raghee here. Welcome to Charts and Coffee. Great to see everyone. I think we should be good to go. All right. My StreamYard is acting up a little bit, but I think we're good. All right. Great to see everyone. Happy Tuesday, everyone. A shortened week. Got a shortened week going on. We have a lot going on this week, though. If you've checked out the economic calendar, well, then you already know what we have coming up for this week. Taking a quick look at Tuesday, which should be pretty quiet by way of July 5, really frankly not having a lot by way of impactful hot zones. Normally, I would not care a lot about factory orders because it's not a high impact event. But when nothing else is around and that's all we have to focus on, sometimes it can take on a little bit more impact than it normally would. We go into jobs numbers on Wednesday, the JOLTS job openings. We have the FOMC meeting minutes. So Wednesday really kicks off this week for all intents and purposes by way of that data countdown. ADP non-farm payroll change gets moved from Wednesday to Thursday. And then we have some random Fed speak, but you know what? All of that will probably be pretty moot when it comes to what is the non-farm employment change. We are already seeing, gang, let me mention this, from a macroeconomic standpoint, we are already seeing the markets deciding to look at, let me get my charts up here, there we go, to look at the current rates, the way in which the Fed fund futures target rate probability, the way in which they're reflecting where the Fed is going to stop. We've already seen that come in by an entire quarter point. Gang, that's pretty significant. Rather than peaking at the 3.5 to 3 3/4 level as far as target rate probability, we're now at 3 3/4% to 3.5%. So that's one less quarter point hike that traders and investors are discounting, expecting, and that gets reflected in the Fed fund futures. So pretty interesting stuff. We are working with the TradingView charts this morning, and yep, we're looking at TradingView charts this morning. And I thought, I've been using TOS a lot, so let me do a little bit of work on TradingView. So I thought we'd do that. Now, yes, I support all my indicators are available in some form or fashion on both platforms. Those are the two main platforms that I support. They're two excellent charting platforms. I think most of the simpler community is on Thinkorswim. And then a really great broker agnostic alternative is TradingView. And I'm not saying this is who you have to use. I'm just letting you all know they offer really good choices by way of, whether or not you trade with TOS or maybe you trade with another platform like TradeStation or Tradeovate. And you can take the data feed, especially if you're a futures trader, you can take that data feed, plumb it into TradingView, and get live futures. If not, you've got stocks, ETFs, the Forex and crypto feeds already built into your TradingView. All right, so with that being said, this is what we're dealing with. We have a pretty interesting economic calendar by way of a shortened week, a quiet Tuesday, and then everything like a landslide is going to be coming in the rest of the week. All right, so we get a day to sort of catch up on sleep that we probably did not get because, fireworks going off, I'm sure, quite late in some parts of wherever y'all are at. I'm sure we had some crazy fireworks. It's funny when you're younger, 4th of July is amazing, and it is. But once you have pets, it's just horror time. My dog spent the evening in the closet, poor thing. CBD does help. We'll tell you, the CBD little chews we give her helped her a lot. So anyway, gang, this show is always about your questions and how we drug our dog for 4th of July. Let's get into it. Kicking it off with, hey there, Tim, good morning. We really got a lot out of this. Oh, Sunday watch list review. Very cool. Is that something I will do again? You mean the Sunday show or just the watch list conversation? We do the Sunday show every Sunday. The topics just vary depending on the activity in the market or whatever I think is really, really important. But yeah, I'll be there every Sunday, 6 p.m. We have been for a couple of months now. Yeah, I appreciate that. I thought it was a great show too. And what I talked about, by the way, is what I had thought about early on in my career about watch list building and what to focus on and things like that. So no, I appreciate that. Thanks, Tim. I'm glad that resonated. Hey there, Alan. Was it the Swiss CPI that turned the European markets sour? Probably not, frankly, but let's take a look at the economic calendar. You go into the early part of the morning. We had a lot of, so take a look coming into this morning. I mean, look at all the data. I don't know that I'd pick out the Swiss one unless, look, we had 355. So look at the times, right? Spanish services, PMI, Italian, French, German. And then the best way to do it, Alan, is look at when the weakness came in, right? At what time do we start to see an acceleration to the downside? At what time do we structure red over red on the multi? At what time do we go red over red on the trade flags, depending on which ones you all have? And you'll see it's 4:05. So look at the time. Once you have that candle, and I'm looking at a 5-minute chart. So once you have that candle, head on over to Forex Factory and sync it up. And I would say it's probably a combination of the, take a look, final services PMI out of Europe and the end of the Asian session. So that's the way that I would look at that. Look at the candle first, and then look at the time that one of those hot zones might have corresponded with that when we're looking backwards. All right, next up, Mr. Walker, does sector seasonality come into play? Sector seasonality? I think we have lots of seasons, of course, whether that be planting season for crops, harvesting season, whether we have the summer season, whether we have that Santa rally Christmas season, beginning of the year. I mean, there's all sorts of seasons, right? And seasons are just a way to say there's a tendency for certain things to happen. I have always said this about seasonals. Seasonals are rooted in things that are planted and grown and harvested and transported, that are subjected to the weather, right? That's where seasonals came. And then they started getting overlaid outside of sort of the grocery store commodities into financials and treasuries, and metals, and indices and stocks, which is not really accurate or always helpful. However, there are tendencies in those markets as well. There are certain times of year we know crude is going to have more demand. There's your summer driving season. You have your winter season. You have your natty gas, not just for the heat of summer, but for the cold of winter. You have certain seasons where the refiners shut down to do maintenance, right? So these are things that happen habitually. We can look at a calendar and know that's happening. And so anything now that can be pinpointed to a calendar becomes a seasonal. Stocks have a season too, mostly earnings season, but I can't say there's a sector season, right? So always ask yourself, when it comes to seasonals, is there anything that has a strong possibility of happening based on the fact that it's just a certain time of year, right? And then make sure you understand the implications of it, because a lot of times some seasonal tendencies get twisted in that people don't understand why that season might have a nickname, Santa Rally. Really, that's the window dressing season. It has nothing to do with Santa, right? Or sell in May and go away. My gosh, if I have to hear one more person say this is where you get short, sell in May and go away. Sell in May and go away means get flat and go to the Hamptons, right? But a lot of traders don't know that. It doesn't mean get bearish over summer. That's not the case at all. When you look back over 10, 20, 30 years, and that's the other thing with seasonals. Seasonals have to have a rhythm. Has to happen again and again and again, not last year and this year, for decades. And it's that tendency that gives seasonals their validity, their credibility. So I hope that helps. All right, next up is there an alert that can be created and sent whenever a buy or sell signal is triggered on a 5-minute and daily? Michael, I look at the indicator that I'm not really sure what indicator you're talking about or what signal you're speaking of. But if you want to associate an alert with a signal, if it's price-based, probably yes. Most platforms will allow you to place a price-based alert. And if it's based on the indicator, the secret squiggle, doing something specific, check the ability to do that through the indicator. And I would say in many cases, I don't know if I could say most, but I would say in many cases, Michael, yeah, probably you can. Yeah. All right, moving on. What's in the cup today, Gavin? The office had sent me, the headquarters, the mothership, as I like to say, had sent me some Four Sigmatic. I love the mushroom coffee. The Think one, which has lion's mane and chaga, I believe. So it's coffee, it's Arabica, with some dual extracted brain mushrooms, or at least I hope they're brain mushrooms. Otherwise, I'll be hallucinating through the Futures Open today. But no, we're good. Tea is great too. Hey there, Kiva. Lorna Bot loves her tea. Yes, we talk about coffee versus tea. I do tea sometimes too. Coffee and tea and Raghee still works. I think we've done a few episodes of coffee, green tea, and Raghee in the morning. Absolutely. All right, moving on to right, Caffeinate and Dominate crew doing. Yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you, Prima Jenna. We have a big crew here today. We have almost 500 people tuning in, so I think we are styling. We are. All right, next up, Raghee, can you explain the idea behind V-wap and or anchored V-wap? Sure. So let's go on over to the charts. And today, by the way, gang, I am using TradingView. I get a lot of questions about, Rob, do you use TradingView? TradingView is almost always up on my screen. I love TradingView. The bot loves TradingView. If the bot had her way, we'd be using TradingView almost all the time. Pine Editor is amazing. And I do like this platform very much. I am actually thinking about opening, I've got a lot of great feedback from members, opening a Tradeovate account to use that to feed my TradingView. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. If I'm going to open that account up, and then I can use that for futures, which a lot of you are, and I might go ahead and do that myself. Right now, you'll see I'm using TradeStation, which I've used for many, many, many years to trade and to feed the live futures data. So VWAPs, volume weighted average price. You know, one of the things, gang, that I want to make sure we touch on every time we're together here in Charts and Coffee is the group of free indicators that I make available to. Well, if you're watching this and you're not a member, head on over to watchlist.com, and you can download the free indicators right from the homepage that I offer. Grab candles, the wave, Darvis 2.0, as well as the propulsion dots, which are an exponential moving average replacement and simultaneously give you cross type signals, if you will, cross notification based on the settings. And I want to make sure we touch on that every day, because I want to remind everybody when it comes to those particular indicators that there's a lot of value in having the ability to identify momentum and trend, right? There's a lot of value in understanding in markets that are in chop, non-trending, wide range, aka chop, that you can find the overbought and oversold levels. Replacing moving averages, understanding where dynamic support and resistance are, allowing the moving averages to even give us insight into the behavior of the market. Is it trending? Is it likely to keep trending? Is it starting to lose some of its swagger and it might turn into chop? We can do that with these tools. And then finally, looking at these, call them swings, right? Call them pivots. I don't want to use the word pivot because pivot has a different meaning in trading, but call these swings. These are minor highs and minor lows. And with these swings, we can automate support and resistance. And you'll see all of that is running on my screen. And every one of those are things you all can put on your screens. By the way, V-wap, another great tool. Some platforms have it built in, some don't, right? It's another way. So where would I categorize V-wap? Why did I mention those other tools? Because V-wap would get put under the category, Gavin, of sort of a moving average. But instead of prioritizing price, it prioritizes volume. So if you can always put an indicator in one of the appropriate buckets, you realize, okay, this is what its job is. Its job is to find dynamic support and resistance. What's key about VWAPs, Gavin, is where you anchor them. I do not use a rolling VWAP. Remember that we anchor sort of almost all of our tools. We're telling all of our tools to recalculate after a certain time or after a certain number of hours or intervals, right? Almost everything we have is anchored in some way. Think about a 200 exponential moving average. Every 200 periods, every one period, it's going back 200. New data, it's going back 200. So it's leaving some data behind while adding new ones. I look at that as sort of being anchored. So the idea is to look at a chart and say, from this point forward, how do I want to analyze what has happened? Anytime we are anchoring something, we're saying from this point forward, right? What is the nature of the market? And that VWAP, Gavin, is done by volume as the priority. Unlike almost everything that we all use on our charts, which is usually prioritized by price. All right, next up, Martha says, where can I get a list of stocks that you have PMRs for? If I am not mistaken, I think there's a link that the Lorna bot shares from time to time that's at our general help section that has that list. I don't know how we're going to keep updating it. I'll probably see if I can't keep that handy so I can let everybody know, because from time to time, and I'd say from every 2 to 3 weeks, that data is going to be updated, and so too will the list. Not that the list will always vary dramatically, but we will be adding more to that. So I'll have to get back to you on that, Martha. I don't think I have that on my screen at the moment, but thank you for the question. And yes, it is continuing to grow, not so much in futures, because we have a really great collection of the metals, treasuries, indices. We have a really currencies. We have a really robust future symbol list for the HPMRs. And the ETFs, again, very, very robust on the liquid, most important sectors for the HPMRs. And then the stocks are continuing to grow. So let's see. Okay. So Bot just told me the notes. Oh, you can do that through TradingView. All right. So good to know. I'll check that out, Bot. Bot just told me the notes on TradingView and the question marks show the current supported symbols. All right. I'll have to look at that myself. It's good to have a bot. It's really good to have a bot. All right. Next up, Frontman asks, what kind of phone do I use if I'm placing trades? Not all of them, Frontman, but actually an alarming, what kind of phone? It's just an iPhone. It's just an iPhone. I wish they'd make them even bigger. The bigger they get, the happier I am. So I can place my alerts over there. But yeah, just an iPhone. But again, I don't do a lot of it, but probably about half, sometimes more. Just depends on the speed of the market. For the Sector Secrets Mastery, the daily time frames is slower overnight positions. It's not unusual at all that probably sometimes at least half to 3/4 of those orders will be placed on the phone because I'm not always in front of the computer. We place an alert. The alert goes off. I might be at lunch. That's happened more than once. I've been at our favorite sushi joint here in town. My phone starts vibrating. TradingView is telling me that the price level that I want to enter an option at is within a nickel. And then I open up Toss on the same phone, and it's a simple order to bid on a long call or a long put. We keep things remarkably simple and in a cash account in the Sector Secrets Mastery room. Not a lot of complicated, type tactics, strategies, time consuming. No, not at all. So, and the phone makes it really handy. All right. So thanks for that question. I think I do get that question quite a bit. I don't trade exclusively from my phone, but I can do a lot from it. Absolutely. All right. So gang, that 20 minutes always flies by, as always. So Profit Bringer asks, how do we get some of the indicators to look like yours? Pricing indicator, volume indicator on the right, JT. So on this particular chart, Profit Bringer, it will depend on what room you're in that you have access to certain indicators. Some of the indicators on my screen, let's see. I'll have to check with the bot on TradingView, but just for everybody, how do you get some of these indicators? Here, everybody here at the, the tops indicators and some of the layouts. If you're a member of Simpler, go into the room drive, options room, futures room, Sector Secrets, Mastery, of course. You all have a juiced up version of this. Day trading room, free trading room. Every single room has a tops toss, thinkorswim layout that imports and gives you my 3-panel layout. When you open the 3-panel layout, the slow stochastic indicator, Darvis, propulsion, the grab candles, the wave, all get imported to your toss. So even if you don't want to use my layout, you've now have imported the free indicators that I make available. And I would start there. On TradingView, it's a little bit more involved, and not everything on my TradingView charts, only one thing actually, is not available. I'll check with the bot on TradingView. I sometimes lose track of what we have for what. But let's start with making sure that everybody does have access to what we've made easiest to import, and that is the thinkorswim layout in the different room drives. And if you're not a member of Simpler Trading, you can head on over to countdowntrader.com and at least download the indicators. All right, gang, my time is way up. I will see you all tomorrow, same time, same station. In the meanwhile, for the next few weeks, gang, we're going to definitely dive into tops more, talk about the HPMRs, talk about what's going on in this market, and of course, answer your questions. Be good to each other, gang, and I'll talk with you soon.